In this video, I want to talk about zero-based budgeting because Millennials have been through a lot. The Great Recession, unaffordable housing, and crazy inflation are just the tip of the iceberg. Who are we supposed to trust to manage our finances? Mom and dad say that we spend too much on avocado toast and coffee, but they don't know any better. Back in 1990, houses cost about $125,000. They're more than $400K today. So it's on us to learn how to balance our budgets. If you're new here, I'm Pietro Conti and I've worked in finance for the past 10 years and want to help you make better personal finance decisions. If that's something that you're interested in, you might consider liking and subscribing to the channel. All right, let's get into it. What is a zero-based budget and why should you do it? Zero-based budgeting is when your total income minus your expenses equals zero. And no, it does not mean to spend every single dollar that you make. In a zero-based budget process, every dollar that you make serves a purpose and needs to be tracked against one of your expenses, whether that's savings, your needs, your wants, or even debt repayment. Every dollar that you make has a purpose, and this is important to make sure that you are the one in control in spending your dollars instead of just spending your dollars aimlessly and seeing what happens. At the end of every month, what you're going to do is look through all of your expenses and just review them. See what was necessary, see what your habits are, and see what changes you need to make. The zero-based budgeting approach is super flexible because you can make adjustments based on what you're actually spending. What I see a lot in regular budgeting is that people try to assign pools of dollars towards certain expenses. It really is just a really strict and regimented approach that doesn't really work for them in the long term. By doing that, in theory, at the first of the month, they think, okay, I can spend X amount of dollars on something, but when they review what their actual expenses are, it's way off and their budget doesn't work and it's something that they don't end up doing. So what I really like about zero-based budgeting is that at the end of every month, you can see what you actually spend your money on and adjust what your budget is accordingly. How do you create a zero-based budget that you're actually going to stick with? The number one most important thing that you need to do is you need to track using real dollars. You need to track exactly what all of your monthly income is, whether that's just your daily job, your W-2 job, if you have any side hustles, if your mom and dad give you any money, it'll be great. Mine don't give me any, but it would be great if they do. Count that as part of your monthly income. When you have all of those dollars, you want to go through a list of everything that you're actually spending on a monthly basis. What your rent is, what you're paying on your car, what your insurance payments are, your groceries, everything. Separate that into wants and needs and be honest with yourself about what is something that you want to do versus what is something that is a need. As you're reviewing that list, think to yourself, is this something that I need to do going forward, or is this something that I use to splurge? The most important thing as you're developing this budget is to pay yourself first. So what I always recommend doing is take your monthly income, look at what that list is, and take 20% of that and assign that just to your savings bucket. With that savings bucket, what you should do is develop 6 months of living expenses, just in case, God forbid, there's any emergency that happens. You need to make sure that you're taking care of over here. Once that emergency bucket is filled and replenished, what you want to do is take that money and start applying it towards either investments or other things that you're saving for. Again, you need to make sure that you're taking care of yourself first in the worst case scenario of there being an emergency. But beyond that, make sure to take that money and invest in yourself. It's going to grow 10% in the stock market every year. And if you can do that every month, over 5 years, you're going to have a full year's worth of expenses. And that doesn't even account for any of the growth that you would have gotten by putting that money into the stock market. So once you take that 20%, put that to the side. I want you to take a look at what the expenses were that you listed and see what are the needs over there. What you want to aim for is that 50% of all of your monthly income is assigned towards your need. When you're thinking about the needs that you have, what is that? That's your rent that you have on your house, that's your car, gas, insurance, groceries, and any other medical expenses or something that you need to pay every month. You can't live without it. If what you're seeing is that your needs are above 50%, what you need to do is start to think over here. How can I adjust that? Do I need to have the flashy new Tesla, or can I sell that and get a used car? Do I need to live in an apartment that costs $3,000 a month, or can I get a roommate and end up spending half of that? It's very important and responsible to make sure that your needs are 50% or less of your total monthly income in order to make sure that you are prepared for your financial goals going forward. With the remaining money, you have 30% that you can take and apply to what would be your wants. This is going out to dinner with your friends. This is going to a sports game. This is going to a concert. Anything that you want to do is yours to play with. What I see too many times happening is that people take their needs and their wants and then they go ahead and they save with whatever's left over. You need to pay yourself first and make sure that you take care of you, take care of number one first, and then take care of your needs. And then with whatever's left, you can spend that on whatever you want. Now, best case scenario is you don't spend all 30% of that on stuff that's just gonna go out the door. Maybe you can invest that further so that you can build up your savings. You can put that to the side and plan for another vacation, or maybe you just have a slush fund for fun expenses. And if your friends decide in a couple of months that they wanna go on a spontaneous trip to the desert, then you'll have that money sitting there already prepared for. Pull from that, and then you'll have the flexibility to go out and have more fun. So with the zero-based budgeting approach, again, there's always going to be changes in your life. Maybe one year you get a raise and all of a sudden you can go through and adjust how much you can allocate towards your needs versus savings, and then you have more fun money afterwards. Sometimes, God forbid, there might be a medical emergency where you got to take care of yourself. So you need to reallocate some dollars then to make sure that you're all taken care of here. But with a flexible approach here, I think that the zero-based budgeting method is going to be what's best to make sure that you're aligned with what your goals are and that you can still have the freedom to go out and do whatever it is that you want to do. The last thing that I really like about zero-based budgeting is the long-term benefits of it. Like I said before, I love the flexible approach for it. Budgeting should be like dieting. If you can't do it forever, then it's not right for you. You see too many people sign up for the latest 30-day or 60-day diet and they torture themselves. And what happens after those 30 or 60 days? They just go back to who they were before, and it's not a sustainable long-term solution. Budgeting should be the same way. You need to have some flexibility in it so that you can do it forever. Too many times people get on their budget, they make some detailed spreadsheet about putting so many dollars where, and they're never going to stick with it. So with zero-based budgeting, what I really like is how flexible it is and how adaptable it is to be something that you can do long-term. I like that it teaches financial discipline. So by actively reviewing what your expenses are every month, you actually know where your dollars are going instead of just guessing. So many people just spend whatever's on their credit card bill and don't dig in and see what it is. And like I said before, they just put money to the side afterwards to save, which usually ends up not being too much. By prioritizing paying yourself first and taking care of your needs, I think that it promotes a financial responsibility that you can't learn from any other textbook and will be something that you can continue doing for years to come.